Hey everyone, it is Coach Jeevers, and listen, I want to talk to you about a question that I get all the time. Whether I'm talking to professional athletes or I'm talking to nutritionists, I'm talking to doctors. Actually, just the other day, I was talking to the head trainer of the National Basketball Association, and I was talking to them about longevity, right? And they said, what really makes you different than everyone else? What makes your products different than everyone else? What makes your philosophy so different than everyone else? And you know what's interesting? It's the same answer no matter who I'm talking to, whether it's the head trainer of the National Basketball Association or whether it's my mom's friend. And that's what I want to kind of get through to you a little bit, because a lot of times when we're talking about longevity, we start talking about Dr. Wallach, we start talking about 90 essential minerals, we start talking about TT, we start talking about the Healthy Body Packs, and we kind of use those things as what really makes us different. And oftentimes there's two kind of issues with that. Number one, they don't know any of those things. So they don't understand that. When they're talking about Dr. Wallach, who is this guy? And what really makes Dr. Wallach any different from Dr. Weil or Dr. Taubes or Dr. William Willett? It's all of these, everyone's got their own doctor, if you will, right? And then when we start talking about the products, they don't know anything about the products, because you know what the main way of really understanding the products is when you take them. When you understand them by when you feel them and when you experience them. So what really is the answer? Well, in my opinion, the answer is very, very simple. And it's deeply rooted in the entire philosophy that Dr. Wallach has researched for the last 40 years. And that is deficiency disease. It's two simple words that are really, really powerful. And I'll tell you why. The second word, meaning disease or illness, okay? And even though we got to be careful in using those words, I'm using it in a very general way, okay? Disease or illness, and oftentimes I actually use trauma, because at the very end of the day, the body is just dealing with trauma. And when we start categorizing and defining trauma, that's when we start attaching names to it. And that's when these disease and illness names come about, right? So really what it is trauma. And at the very end of the day, it's that we are all dealing in some sort of trauma, whether it's my mom who's diabetic or my dad who just has cardiostenosis, a little valve replacement that he was dealing with, whether it's my sister who sometimes gets migraines, or whether it's me who sometimes after working out really hard, I get a little soreness in my shoulder. All of that is simply trauma. So we're all dealing with some sort of trauma, even as simple as I just don't have enough energy during the day. That's a trauma right there, right? And so that last word, that disease, is very kind of, it relates to a lot of people, right? And then the first word, which is deficiency, this is what's key. The reason why you have whatever trauma you're dealing with, energy, migraine, muscle soreness, diabetes, it's because you are deficient. But what are you deficient in? Are you deficient in a medicine? Are you deficient in some care? Are you deficient in your genetics? Is something wrong with you? No, not at all. The reason why you're in your trauma is because you're deficient in one thing. You're deficient in the fuel that gives your body life. And what is that fuel? Fuel is nutrition, and specifically nutrients. You know what's so great about Dr. Wallach? You know what's so great about longevity? Is that our philosophy is simply saying, put the best of the best fuel into your body on a consistent basis, and let this wondrous, amazing, magnificent, inherently strong body deal with any trauma that comes at it. I mean, think about it. You today are the strongest of the entire species. That's true. Think about it. 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, you have lived. You have evolved into the strongest of our species right now. And your species has gone through the bubonic plague. It has gone through famine. It has gone through the Arctic ice age. It has gone through all of these different things, and it has adapted, and it has gotten stronger. And you are now the result of all of that strength. And so are you trying to tell me that you can't deal with sugar? Are you trying to tell me that you can't deal with inflammation? Are you trying to tell me that you can't deal with muscle soreness? That's absolutely ridiculous. You have the ability to deal with all of that trauma. But the thing is that you can't deal with all of that trauma unless you have the strength to do so. And that strength comes from the fuel that you put into your body. And that fuel is nutrition. And Dr. Wallach has always said, listen, if you put the best of the best fuel into your body, then you don't have to worry about a thing. But we got a little problem. And that problem is that for us to get the best of the best fuel to put in our body, we have to eat that fuel. We have to consume it. Not only do we have to consume it, but we also have to make sure that we're getting that nutrition from the absolute best sources. We got to make sure that where that food is coming from is grown in the best environment, with the best rainfall, with the best soil, with the best this, the best that, the best care. No insecticides or pesticides or non-GMO and all of those things. But unfortunately, here's what's happened. We're unable to do that because of the way that society has created our food. We don't control the agricultural system. We lost food a long time ago. You know when we lost food? I'll tell you when we lost food. Remember when you first saw a box of cereal or you saw bread that was fortified? When did this word fortified come into being? It came into being when all of a sudden we wanted to create processed foods because it was simpler, it was easier, it was more convenient, it was preserved longer, it was cheaper, and oftentimes it tasted better. And it tasted better because the scientists, the chemists, the flavor chemist, and my dad's a food chemist, so he knows this. And so what he did when he was formulating his dressings and he was formulating his frozen foods is he knew exactly how much salt and sugar and fat to put into food so it created an enormous sense of pleasure. And when that enormous sense of pleasure came into being, then you wanted more and you started craving it, the desire to want to have more food. But see, here's the thing. When you do that, it doesn't necessarily have the most nutrition in it because it's processed. You made it. God didn't make it. The ground didn't make it. We made it. And we're not that perfect. So then what we did is we started fortifying with vitamin A. We started fortifying with fiber. We started fortifying with vitamin C and essential fatty acids and all of this nutrition that we yanked from the foods that we were eating. And so on one hand, we started dealing with all of these processed foods. And then on the second hand, we started actually creating an agricultural society to support those foods. That's when all of a sudden farmers started growing not 5, 10, 15 crops, but one crop, corn, maybe soy, maybe wheat, because those things you could put into these fortified foods. And all of a sudden these processed foods. And so when all of a sudden you start doing that, and you start doing that for such a long time, consistency, under some very intense development years, like when I was a kid. I mean, think about what I ate when I was a kid, from 0 to 10 years old or 12 years old. We were Indian. And so my mom cooked a lot of fresh foods and a lot of Indian foods and things like that, but I still ate a lot of cereal, okay? I still ate a lot of macaroni and cheese. I still ate a lot of Wonder Bread. I still ate a lot of all of those things. The fast food, you know, even though we didn't eat a lot of fast food, but we did eat fast food. But here's the thing. When did I eat it? I didn't eat it at 15 or 20 or 30 or 35 when my body was strong and it was resilient. It was actually at a time in which I was developing. That's why our society is so sick right now. Our society is more sick because of what we did earlier in our life than what we've done later in our life. Early in our life, we were so susceptible, we were so vulnerable to all of this toxic toxic and harmful nutrition that we were consuming. And so all of these amazing systems that our body had to be able to deal with the stresses, all of this trauma, we begin to deteriorate them and we begin to break them. And then now we're dealing with the consequences, either one, because we haven't gotten any better, understandable, all right? Or two, we may have broken them so bad that it's difficult for us even to get back to a state of great health. So this is the entire simple philosophy of longevity. We believe that the reason why you are in the situation that you're in today, and you decide what situation that is, low energy, diabetes, sore muscles, not proper sleep, aches and pains, the worry that your sister had cancer and your mother had cancer and your grandmother had cancer. And so you feel now you're at the mercy of whatever trauma or issue that you're dealing with right now is because you are deficient in the specific nutrients that help to fuel the body. And here's the thing, is that those nutrients, they're very, very simple. And that's why our concept is so incredibly simple. Remember when resveratrol was so great and everybody started drinking red wine and then everyone started eating, the acai berry because it was so fantastic, or pomegranates or this? You know what? We never jumped on that train. You know why we never jumped on that train? Because that's not our philosophy. Our philosophy is simple. Get more food into the body. But unfortunately, you can't get enough food or the right foods into your body. And so you need the simple things that are in the food. Vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, and amino acids. Now, I know those are fancy words, but you know what? Those 4 words are exactly what food is made up of. What is vegetables made up of? Minerals. What are fruits made up of? Vitamins. What is meats made up of? Amino acids. What are healthy oils made up of? Coconut and salmon. It's made up of essential fatty acids. Not all of it is that, but the very potent part of that food are these vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, and amino acids. And all we want to do is we want to get you those on a consistent basis. Is it better than food? No, it's not better than food. But you know what it is? It's the next best thing to getting it from food. And by the way, when you do get this with food, you not only complement what you're consuming, but you actually enhance and accelerate its benefits. This is why the philosophy of longevity is simple and powerful, is that all we're telling you to do is get the same nutrients from the foods that you're consuming. And these specific nutrients, the 90 essential nutrients, the 90 specific nutrients are those nutrients that are either, number one, so vulnerable to trauma, meaning that like vitamin B, when you take in vitamin B and you turn on the lights, immediately vitamin B is broken down. Oh no, if you don't have enough vitamin B, you can't break down carbohydrates. If you can't break down carbohydrates, you can't get energy. And so it's either nutrients like that, or number two, nutrients that are hard to consume. How much plants have you eaten today? How many vegetables have you eaten today? Have you eaten 6 to 12 to 15 servings? Because if you haven't, then you're not getting enough of the minerals that are found in those plants. And guess what? Minerals aren't found anywhere else. You can't make them. Your body can make vitamins. Your body can make protein. Your body can make carbs, but it can't make minerals. And so that's the other set of nutrients that are in the 90 essential nutrients, is those ones that your body cannot make and you're not consuming enough of. And then the third set of nutrients are those that have shown scientifically, clinically, in all groups, whether it's the naturopathic group, all the way to the World Health Organization that is teamed with a bunch of medical professionals and PhDs and nutritionists and stuff, is that these are the nutrients that if you don't get, you will be diseased. And the World Health Organization has identified 40 of them. We have 90. The difference between our 40 and 90 is the one thing that they forgot, is that certain nutrients work better when they're paired with others. So what Dr. Wallach did was he made sure that not only that you got those nutrients, but you also got the ones that were paired together. Now that, to me, is the entire philosophy of longevity. That's what creates our advantage to all other companies, and that is the simplistic message that you have the credibility to deliver.